Welcome back to the Game Smash Podcast. As always, I'm your host, William Liberty, and with me is...
Fawaz Muhammad Yusuf.
And today we got a pretty packed podcast.
Oh, that's my shit!
Oh, yeah. So we got Gears 4 details. We got Overwatch Animated short and new details. We've got Doom Beta announced with multiplayer modes. We've got Battleborn Open Beta. It begins April 8th. We've got AZ Allies, Game Trailers Crew new site idea. Evolution Studios closes, and Microsoft open to cross-platform play. But let's talk about what we played this week. I didn't really play anything too new. I played just some more Zelda Wii U. I'm trying to slowly beat it. And I'm getting pretty far. I think I've got like maybe 5-6 hours left of the game. Depending, but I've put in like at the very least 15 hours at the moment. So, because yeah, it's about a 20-hour game, which is a good solid length. And I replayed some more Fire Emblem Awakening with Alex, because it's this kind of like cool little mode. It's like a cooperative mode in which you take your characters from your playthroughs and you do like little mini fights. Like it's almost like a boss. It's like a boss rush where you'll fight one enemy, and then you'll fight another one, and you have to keep killing them in like a line.
Oh, okay.
So you do that, and then if you beat them, you get rewards for your playthroughs and whatnot. So I was helping him sort of grind to get better weapons and whatnot. Because the thing about that game that's very difficult is that a lot of the weapons that you get have durability, and there's no way to repair them. So basically how it balances out is that you can get a really good weapon early in the game, but if you keep using that weapon over and over again, you're going to lose it, by, level 3 or something like that.
Okay.
So it's sort of a cool little balancing thing. But that's basically what I did this week, some Fire Emblem, some Zelda Wii U. What about you, Fawaz?
Okay. I brought it back. I went to play Bloodborne.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I never cleared the Chalice dungeons, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I never cleared the Chalice dungeons, so I'm just working on that right now. I don't know if I ever told you, but Rom is probably my least favorite boss in the entire game, right? I think Rom is a very, very poorly designed boss.
It's just kind of boring to a certain extent. Yeah.
It's not even just that she's boring. It's also that, I've beaten... It's taken me 45 minutes to beat Rom, and it's taken me 30 seconds. That is not... you should not be able to have that kind of variance in a boss. That's just not good design, right? I've actually beaten Rom in under a minute, and it's taken me almost an hour on 2 different characters. So anyway, I'm clearing the Chalice dungeons, and I'm walking through, and I go into one of these rooms, and bam, who appears but none other than Rom. So I'm I'm not excited, right? But then to add to this, you remember the Rom boss battle, right? I remember where it was. It was in an
big
open area, right?
Yeah.
Have you played in the Chalice dungeons?
Not really. I fought like maybe 2 bosses in the Chalice dungeons, but.
Yeah, it's a dungeon. It's a very, very small, closed space.
So it's a very small... Yeah.
Yeah, imagine fighting Rom, but in a small, enclosed space. I want to meet the person that designed that boss battle and throttle them. Because it is so... I mean, you take a poorly designed boss, and then you find a way to make it even worse. So, I don't know. I'm probably just going to overlevel so I can... Because there's a trick to beating Rom where if you do enough damage to her while she's teleporting, she won't teleport, and you can just kill her before she goes to phase 2 and 3. Poorly designed boss. So I'm just gonna overlevel, and hopefully I can do that. I can do that to her. So I skipped that dungeon. I went to a different one. But yeah, currently I'm just trying to work on the Chalice dungeons. I can't lie, they get kind of repetitive.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I always make the comparison that the A team for the From Software that works on Souls did the main campaign, and then the B team from Dark Souls 2 worked on the Chalice dungeons. So it's like the Chalice dungeons aren't like, and this is like it's weird that I say the A team and the B team. It's like the B team isn't necessarily bad. It's just compared to the A team, they're just not as good, and that's why I never really delved too deep into the Chalice dungeons.
Yeah, for me, I'm just sorry, you were saying?
But the other thing is also, this is more of a problem with a lot of Souls games in general, is that I find that the bosses that have ads are usually the ones that are the worst. Like there are some bosses that have ads that are really, really interesting. There's one in Demon Souls. This is actually pretty. It's a pretty cool boss. It's called like the Phalanx.
Okay.
But a lot of them end up like the most infamous one was from Dark
Souls. Arrows.
Sorry.
The one with the archers.
Yeah, that one was pretty rough. And well, the one that I always comes to mind is Caper Demon. Because Caper Demon was in this like tiny boss room, and there were these two dogs who would rush you every single time as you entered the room, and if you didn't kill the dogs, you were fucked. So it was like rolling a dice, because it's like if you don't kill the dogs, you're dead. If you were able to kill the dogs, then great, you can have a chance. So yeah, no, I know what you mean by Rom being not the funnest boss to fight.
No, she's really not. And then they were like, oh well, let's throw her into the Chalice dungeons as well, which is a real pity, because there are actually some really fun bosses that I wouldn't mind refighting. Gascoigne being one of them.
Yeah.
The final boss, who I shall not spoil on the podcast,
Yeah.
being another one. I mean, like, truth be told, I generally prefer the hunter style bosses, because I always feel like those matches, they're more a test of skill than patience, right? Like, the big, slow, lumbering bosses are a test of patience, in my opinion, right? Like, it doesn't take a lot. I personally, this is just my opinion, it doesn't take a lot of, like, dexterity to beat them. You just have to be patient. You have to take your hits when you can, and then back off before they hit you with their OTK attack, right? Like but then the smaller, really fast-paced ones, you gotta parry them, you gotta dodge, you gotta do all that, so which is more in line with what I prefer from this.
Yeah.
So like Gascoigne's a boss I wouldn't have minded fighting again, but hey. It could be worse. It could have been a Briatas in a tiny room. Yeah, but that's pretty much what I've been playing. I'm kind of holding off on buying anything right now. There's some stuff that's next month is going to be interesting, because like next month is beta season, as we shall get into in the podcast. And one beta that I currently have my eye on is the Battleborn beta. It starts on the 8th of April. You should check. You didn't play the closed technical test, right?
No. I might actually check out the open beta.
Yeah, I mean, it's completely free. Preloading happens on the 6th, I think. Yeah, preloading happens on the 6th. It's from the 8th to the 18th, sorry. So 10 days of open beta. There's going to be 7 characters at launch, and then you can just gradually unlock them by playing the beta.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm definitely going to give it a good go. It's like I said on the last podcast, I had a decent amount of fun with it, and I may or may not buy it. We'll see. But I'll definitely try it out. So anyway, that's what I've been playing. A bit of a digression there, but let's move on to some news, Tanner.
Well, first off, we got some Gears 4 details. So a bunch of details for Gears 4 got announced, and some of them include so Gears 4, set 25 years after Gears 3. You're playing as JD Phoenix, who's Marcus's son from the previous 3. It's set during a 24-hour period, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The team actually wanted to go back to the intimacy of the first game, and is more focusing on some of the horror aspects. And this is something I kind of see what they're going for, because Gears 1 had a more weird horror tone to it to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
And then the other 2 games just went more full action.
Yeah.
So I can kind of understand what they were getting, especially in like the E3 trailers that they shown, where it's like it's all dark. It's more dark buildings, and there's creatures coming from the roofs and whatnot. And they also talked more about how the weather plays a huge role. How they're trying to do more dynamic weather that actually affects like the map and whatnot. And that was actually something that I always thought Gears did a really good job at, because they had a lot of multiplayer maps, and I remember this from Gears 2 and 3, where like the Razor Rain which I loved. I loved the Razor Rain, which was basically every once in a while you'd be playing on this multiplayer map, and it would just start raining, and the rain would deal damage. So you'd have to go into these sheltered like areas, right?
Yeah.
So it makes what it does is that it changes the map from this really big open map into a more confined map. But you have the ability to move out, but you're going to take damage. So it changes that dynamic of the combat in that map by a lot. So I hope that means that we're going to see more of this, because I always thought that was a really cool aspect of some of the map's designs. And then finally, multiplayer beta coming April 18th.
April 18th. Yeah, looking forward to seeing gameplay of that. They said that they're really, really trying to. There's going to be a big emphasis on multiplayer, which is weird because I'm like, hasn't there always been a big emphasis on multiplayer? But apparently, no, there hasn't. Apparently, the development of the original Gears was like 90% single player, 10% multiplayer.
That makes sense.
Really?
To a certain
Okay,
extent.
the multiplayer was pretty bare bones in Gears 1, now that I'm thinking about it. Because
Yeah.
it was like, there was only three modes, right? Execution, Warzone, and Assassination. And they were pretty much just three variations of the exact same mode. So, yeah, I guess that does make sense. Never mind all the multiplayer bugs and exploits that were in Gears 2. So, hey.
Like, I mean,
there's really
honestly,
two-player couch co-op.
I didn't really play a lot of the multiplayer. I mostly just played the Horde mode in Gears 2 and 3, because me and my friends love the Horde modes. So yeah, that's how my experience with the multiplayer was. But I always really did like the single players of the Gears games, because I always felt that they were pretty solidly designed, and would mix things up every once in a while. Also, they had some of the best Easter eggs. Like the freaking
toaster.
Sorry?
The toaster, the pink toaster.
Yeah. My favorite is the beard Easter egg in Gears 3, in which if you in one of the first sequences, if you keep covering next to Dom for like 2 minutes, and then you finish that sequence, everybody in the game grows a beard, including the female character. So like crazy shit like that. So but yeah, no, I'm pretty interested to see how this game goes. I kind of feel like we didn't really need a Gears 4, but
Yeah.
whatevs.
Yeah. I mean, I won't be able to play it anyway, so
Yeah, exactly. So I'm interested from afar.
yeah.
But moving on to our next piece of news, Overwatch released an animated short called Recalled, and it was friggin' awesome.
It was pretty awesome. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. I mean, like it's not Toy Story, okay? Let's just temper your expectations, but it is pretty funny. I particularly liked the scene where Winston, the giant gorilla, he goes on the computer to do some stuff, and you see a Hearthstone game in the background. I lost it. Oh my god! And then there's just one moment when the dudes are like tying him down, and he frees himself, and he picks up the cable, and like the two dudes, they look at each other, and one guy just lets go.
yeah, that was actually really great.
That's like Judas. Oh my god! But one of the things that it does is that it gives us a little bit of insight into the world of Overwatch. So the developer said that one of the reasons why they did not go the traditional single player mode with Overwatch was because certain characters just did. Because I mean, like a single player, because Overwatch is a multiplayer focused game, right?
Yes.
It's a team based shooter, and certain characters just did not transfer proper. Like support characters, for example, would just be very difficult to play in a single player mode. So they were like that. Instead, they're gonna focus on the multiplayer, and then they'll use like this kind of stuff to develop the world. And I mean, like, if all of the animated shorts are going to have the same quality of the Recall one, I'm definitely looking forward to them. They also mentioned that they're not just going to focus on animated shorts. They're going to have digital comics. They're going to have some digital comics. There's going to be a six-issue series of comic shorts that will focus on different heroes, and then there's going to be a short comic that's going to tell the story of McCree, and then there's going to be a graphic novel called First Strike, which takes place during the Omnic Crisis. the global robot uprising that unfolded decades ago before the events players experienced in-game. Written by Mickey Nelson with art by Lubo Lulabi. I
Mm-hmm.
probably pronounced that wrong. First Strike explores the early days of Overwatch, the elite international strike team that was assembled to save humanity. You'll learn
Yeah.
more about the origins of some of its founding members, such as Soldier 76, Torbjorn,
Yeah.
Reaper, and Reinhardt, years before the events of the game.
Well,
So,
it's interesting that a while ago I was kind of shitting on one of the Reaper skins. That had him like not wearing the cool shit and had him just like,
yeah.
and I was like, that looks like a dumb skin. But then I was looking at some of the videos and the lore, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that kind of makes sense because it's what he was before he went kind of rogue. Um,
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So that's the thing is that a lot of the skins in the game actually tie into the plot.
yeah, which I like.
So
I like a lot.
yeah, I like that a lot. Now, overall, I'm cool with this. My one issue with this, right,
Mm-hmm.
is that one of the reasons why I liked the idea of having the animated shorts was because I assumed that the animated shorts would be included in the game, right? I
Right.
generally don't like the idea of having to go to a bunch of different places to get the full story. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind it being in digital comics and in animated shorts, so long as all of this is included in the game, right? So if I want to learn a little bit, it's say I just finished playing a game and or I just unlocked that Reaper skin and I'm like, okay, let me actually look more into the lore. I can just back out of the game, go to a different menu, and then read one of the digital comics that fills in on that, right? Something along those lines. However, this won't be the
Eh,
case because digital comics can come with the game. However, the graphic novel can't, right? So
Yeah,
that's
I feel like that would be a really cool thing. I really doubt it's going to happen. Like I
yeah,
really doubt.
yeah.
Like in most
Which is unfortunate,
it's
but
it's like a couple extra steps that it
yeah,
sucks, but it's kind of like, it's not like the end of the world. Some of this most of the stuff is going to be free. Like the digital comics are
digital
free.
comics are free. The
So
animated shorts are free. So yeah, yeah.
so I mean, like I'll take what I can get. It
Uh-huh.
seems like they're kind of doing like a league kind of thing where it's like League of Legends will have their YouTube channel and they'll post a bunch of these really awesome like animated shorts and lore videos and stuff like that. You
Okay.
can't really access it. Well, you technically can, which is interesting because in League of Legends you have your main like startup page, and then if you click some of the links, they'll bring you to the websites and the pages to look at it. So it's kinda in the game, but not really. It would be interesting if it was like if they had something similar in Overwatch, where at least you could click a link in the game and it would like pop up the internet browser on the PS4 or something like that. I don't know. It would be interesting, but nonetheless, I'm still excited. I really love the animated short. I hope that we get to see the next one soon.
Yeah, same here. And one last thing on Overwatch. So they also added a patch to the game. It added a bunch of stuff. Fixed some balance issues. I mean, this game is still in beta. I think a lot of people forget that this game is still in closed beta. So
Yeah.
it's still got a bit of a ways to go before it launches. So but anyway, one really cool thing that they added is Overwatch weekly brawls, right?
Yeah.
Which they came out and they admitted that it is straight up a ripoff of Hearthstone's Tavern Brawls.
Yeah.
That is, they really liked the idea behind Tavern Brawls, and they're trying to mess around with a bunch of different ideas to see what works, what doesn't, and then they'll work from there. So the current brawl, well, sorry, during closed beta, they're going to be rotating the brawl every single day because they
Yeah.
want to get as much info as they can and all the
Of like
different.
what works and what doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. Because like the first brawl they had was Super Shimada Bros, which was a debacle. Because what it is that you could only play either Genji or Hanzo, the
Right.
two brothers. The issue with that is that Genji counters Hanzo. Like Genji hard counters Hanzo. Hanzo is a
Mm-hmm.
sniper, and Genji is is a very mobile offensive hero,
Yeah.
right? Who does a lot of damage up close, whereas Hanzo is a low mobility sniper. So
Yeah.
what usually happened was that people would start off the game. Some people would pick Genji, some people would pick Hanzo, but by the end of the game, it would be 6 Genjis. So it'd be a fight of just 12 Genjis, straight
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people data mined the game and they found a bunch of the other brawls. Some of these are pretty cool. Mystery heroes. On death, you will respawn as a randomly selected hero. That could be interesting.
Yeah.
There's one called the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where you can only play as McCree, Reaper, and Roadhog.
Nice.
Yeah, there's one called Heads Up. You can only play as McCree, Genji, Hanzo, or Widowmaker, and you can only do damage with headshots.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So they've got some interesting looking ones. We'll see how it goes. We'll see, we'll see how they tweak them. Generally, I don't like the tavern brawls in Hearthstone, so I'm probably not going to.
I'm fine with them as being like a little separate thing to occasionally mix things up. Like it's fun as like as a jokey kind of thing. Like I mostly do it because you can get a free pack out of winning a game. So it's I hope that if they do this, that they have a similar reward system in there. It's like maybe you get like some free points or something like that for doing it. Because it's a good way to like, all right, here's a silly mode for people who really want a reward. Here you go. You can get a free pack if you win a game. In this silly mode.
Actually, like free pack, I'd definitely be all over that.
Yeah, because I think it's a good way to get people playing the tavern brawls and these brawls yeah. Because the tavern brawls for Hearthstone, like some of them were like really really fun to do. Some of them were a little bit like you had to build a very specific like type of deck. Whereas other ones you could just kind of build like crazy decks and whatnot. I think the last one that they made was the last one that I played was every creature card that you play, you get a random spell of the same cost that you can play for free. So you play like a four cost creature, and then a random 4-cost spell comes into your hand. So that was
okay. I can see some shenanigans.
Oh, there was some shenanigans. I think what I ended up doing was I built Druid and I just rushed a bunch of mana so I could like get free 8-cost spells.
Wow, that's I rarely ever touch the tavern brawls. I used to play them, but then also classic packs. I have like no use for classic.
Well,
packs.
Yeah, that's the thing is that I kind of do because I don't have all the cards.
Yes.
But anyway, cool stuff.
Oh, sorry. I swear. Last thing. Last thing. They also added a bunch of new costumes, and one of the new costumes is a Joker outfit for Roadhog. No. Junkrat. Joker outfit for Junkrat, and it looks amazing. Last thing. I'm done.
Okay, cool. All right, excited for skins. It's gonna be great. So next we've got the Doom. We got the Doom beta announced and some multiplayer modes detailed. So we've got Soul Harvest, which seems like it's a very like kind of like kill confirm thing where you have to kill an enemy and then actually collect their soul to get the point. There's Freeze Tag, which seems very interesting. Basically, you shoot a character until they become frozen. And you can also allies can try and shoot their allies to unfreeze them. So it's basically that's what it is. It's freeze tag.
It sounds very interesting. Freeze the entire team to win.
Yeah, basically, and that mode I think is going to be really really cool. The other mode that I think is great is Warpath, which is basically it's a moving capture zone. and what I like about it is it physically moves. Like it's not like all right the King of the Hill zone is going to be here for like 30 seconds and then it's going to switch to like just a random zone. It actually physically moves across the map, so you kind of have to like stay in the zone.
That is so Doom.
I think it's really really cool, and I think it's going to make for some really awesome clutch moments. And and they just kind of teased Clan Arena, Domination, and Team Deathmatch, but overall, all these modes that they've shown, especially in the trailer, look really, really fun and interesting to play.
They look really fun and interesting to play. Honestly, I wish this game hadn't come out in May. I wish April, March, February, any month but May. Yeah. Because like right now, I'm gonna have to choose between Doom, Overwatch, Battleborn, Battleborn, Mirror's Edge, and Valkyria Chronicles. That's one thing that were actually Valkyria Chronicles drops in May as well. So it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough. But this looks so much fun. That freeze tag mode, actually, I was just thinking about some crazy comebacks. Your whole team is frozen, but you're frozen. Like they're frozen all over the map, and you're running around unfreezing them, and you guys run it back. It's overall, man, like the game looks like a lot of fun, and this is so important. It looks like Doom. It looks like what Doom should look like in 2016.
Yes.
You know, it didn't fall into the unfortunate trap of trying to modernize itself, and then in the process forgetting what made it. At least, obviously, we don't know until the game launches. But
Yeah.
on paper, anyway, it looks really. It looks a lot like Doom. One other thing is that the multiplayer beta starts next week. Unfortunately, it's only for people that bought Wolfenstein.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm shit out of luck. But I will be watching gameplay of the multiplayer beta. If they allow streaming, I'll be watching it on Twitch. And yeah, man, good.
Good stuff. I'm excited to see some more gameplay footage and whatnot. Next on our list, we got Battleborn Open Beta begins.
Oh no, we already touched on that. Remember?
Oh yeah, we did. Okay, so next on our list, Easy Allies. Game. Basically, it's the game trailers crew. They're setting up their own like little Twitch page, which might potentially become like maybe a website of sorts. They're asking for support on Patreon. But it's really cool because it's basically the game trailers crew. They're sticking together and they're trying to make something new, and they haven't released a whole bunch of details. But I think from at least their like little Patreon trailer, they were talking about how like they're gonna try and do a bunch of streams, try and interact with their audience again, and they might go back to trying to do reviews, but it really depends on how much support that they can get. But I think this is a really, really cool idea for them, and I'm glad that they aren't like just scattering to the winds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love game trailers. I mean, I didn't follow them as much, but towards the end there, so I am part of the reason why they closed down. But yeah, I'm really happy to hear that they're bouncing back in some form, and I wish them all the best. Hopefully, you know what we should do?
What?
We should highlight them to see if they're looking for like a weekly podcast to add to their
okay, all right, okay.
Their
so
fledgling websites.
All right, Easy Allies. Just giving you a shout out here. If you want some high quality podcast material, Game Smash is always available. Just telling you, right?
It sounds like a joke now, but hey, you never know.
You never know. You never know. I would love to just honestly, I am totally gonna be supporting them with their Patreon for sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with this new idea. I really want Kyle Bossman to get his show back.
Oh, you liked Bossman?
Yeah, I actually did.
Is that who you're named after?
No, I've made the illusion that I may have gotten the nickname Bossman in middle school because I was complaining to the teacher about the students who were in the same group project weren't doing the work, and I was trying to get him to tell them to do their work, and he thought it was hilarious, so he just called me Bossman.
I was kind of hoping that you were like named after the wrestler. You know the wrestler, right? Big Boss
I
Man?
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, who knows? Maybe in another life.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. I hope this works out for them. So if you're interested in seeing the game trailers crew and new stuff, go support them. That's all we gotta say. But in less supportive news, Evolution Studios closes.
This is. I mean, to be completely honest, I'm not too surprised about this.
I'm not too surprised either.
It's not just about Drive Club, actually. Like the game that they released before Drive Club was MotorStorm Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, MotorStorm Apocalypse might be the unluckiest video game in history because it was a racing game about racing through natural disasters that came out the week. Its original release date was like a week before the Japanese, or like a week after the Japanese tsunami happened.
Yeah.
So Sony pulled the game back and then eventually released it to not very much fanfare. So So yeah,
Yeah.
that game kind of it flopped, right?
Yeah,
It
it flopped.
absolutely flopped. Then Drive Club comes out. Drive Club apparently sold really well. Apparently, it sold like 2 million copies.
Hmm.
But unfortunately, I guess 2 million wasn't enough, and
Yeah.
Sony put the kibosh on this. Unfortunate. It's really unfortunate because these were talented developers. I mean, and
Yeah, yeah.
they've been under Sony for a very long time, and it's really unfortunate that a series of unfortunate
Yeah.
releases. I mean, obviously, we don't know the full
We
story. We
don't
don't
know
know
the full
exactly.
story for sure, but I feel like it kind of sucks in the sense where it's like, you had a pretty solid, development, studio, and it's just they got screwed once, with Apocalypse, and then they got
Yeah.
screwed again with Drive Club, and then it's like, well, there's only so much you can do. Like if two of your games are like one of them's a flop and the other one is sort of successful but still kind of a flop because of how shitty the release was,
Yeah.
it's like there's only so much you can do to
Mm-hmm.
it. Like they might have had more of a chance if it's like if they had released like a smaller game like in between that would have sold really really well or something like
Yeah.
that. It's just unfortunate that they just had two kind of like not really great successes back to back.
Uh-huh.
Um, but
And now they said that Drive Club is going to Sony is going to keep supporting Drive Club,
hmm,
so that's good. But I'm really sad that we won't be seeing a new MotorStorm.
yeah,
I quite liked the MotorStorm series,
yeah,
and
me too. Out of all of the racing genre games, MotorStorm was probably one of my more favorites. Um,
yeah, it's a real shame to hear now, and I hope I know that this is the second one we've had now in like a month,
yeah,
and I hope they land on their feet. Like yeah,
it would be
I
interesting to
wish.
see if it's like maybe they should just come back as a different company and tackle like a different genre. Like that would be kind of interesting.
Come out with hit up Kickstarter and have a motorcycle association game.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
or, or are we putting that joke to bed at this point? um, but
uh,
I wish them all the best. One weird thing about this though is that I think one second actually let me just double check right now. But I think Sony recently assisted Lionhead Studios. Like
really?
yeah, on March 11th, Sony held a recruitment event for the staff of Lionhead Studios. So it's like,
That's very bizarre.
okay, so you're hiring for what, and then you're letting your own people go. It's like handle your shit first.
Well, no,
Like
it's not. Well, you're saying it's Sony.
say
Sony
what?
was doing this for Lionhead Studios. The
Yes.
reason why this is weird for Waz is because Lionhead Studios was always associated with Microsoft.
Yeah, because they got laid off, right? Lionhead
No,
Studios got.
I understand that. So I find that bizarre that it's like Sony is coming in to try and help these guys.
Well, people are people, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, for me, I'm just like, it makes it feel like what they did was more of a what's this thing called? What they did was more of a publicity stunt than anything. I
Oh,
mean,
okay, I see.
obviously, there's no way to know. This is me 100% speculating, but that is how. Like seeing this happen now makes it feel like what they were doing with Lionhead Studios was more to just build up publicity than anything else. I mean, obviously, these things don't work like that. Just
Yeah,
because they're hiring people on one end doesn't, because I mean they have a bunch of different studios. They could be hiring Lionhead Studio people for like the RPG studio, but then they
yeah,
looked at the racing games, and I mean first of all, racing games are a niche market in itself, right? So then they let
yeah.
these people go. So like I take back what I said. That was a dirtbag thing to say. I apologize to Sony,
To
and
Sony.
moving
I'm
on.
sure Sony will survive its harsh Fawaz criticism. Moving on to something really interesting on our last piece of news. Microsoft Open Cross Platform Play. Wow, I butchered that. Microsoft is open to cross-platform play, and starting with Rocket League, they're trying to make it so that players can play with both Xbox One players and PC.
And PS4. They said that they're open
and PS4.
to.
So multiple different things, and also the ability to filter, which means if it's like if you have an Xbox One, it's like I don't want to play with PC or PS4 players. I just want to play with Xbox One players. You have the ability to do that.
Yeah. So, real quick, this actually ties directly into our question of the day. Is
Yeah.
console from J Street 1983? Is console to console share play Xbox One to PS4 good for gaming / gamers? If Street Fighter 5 taught me anything, is that cross-platform play holds back a game's online performance. Very, very good question. Once again, J Streets. Shout out to J Streets for all the really cool questions. So, you want to take first swing at this, Tanner?
Yeah, sure. I honestly, if they want to try and push cross-platform play, they have to put a lot of money in making sure that it actually works, because I have really never seen it work very well. I have yet to see it work very well at all, because every time I think, Xbox One to PC, you always get things where it's like you can't connect, or it's like you try and connect and it doesn't work, and it just causes more problems for the servers. And plus, there's just like the actual communicating between the systems is also a problem as well. Like, like communicating a PS4 to an Xbox One seems like it would be a relatively difficult process to a certain extent, depending on how the hardware is designed.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking it more from a design perspective. I'm not against it from like the premise. Like, if I have a friend who bought an Xbox One and I have a PS4, we both have Rocket League, it would be pretty cool if we could both play together.
Yeah.
Like, that would be a pretty cool thing. It's just, I have never seen it work very well.
Yeah.
And I feel like the negatives outweigh the positives. So it's kind of like I don't feel like we're at the point where we can make this work properly. Like, I feel like we still need time, depending on like just connection things and design things. I feel like if it's possible that we could do this, but I still don't think it's in reach at the moment. But what do you think about it so far?
I'm pretty much your views pretty much echo mine. I mean, we look at Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5's multiplayer launch was a debacle. But don't forget Street Fighter 5. Look at Helldivers.
Yeah.
Helldivers was doing cross-platform play between 3 Sony platforms.
Yeah.
The PS4, the PS3, and the Vita. And even that was a debacle at launch. So yeah, like the actual thing itself, being able to just play against someone on the Xbox One would be amazing. I have absolutely no issues with that on paper. Unfortunately, we don't live life on paper, right? So in practice, no, I don't. I'm not a fan of it. However, I will say that I will, if more developers become open to it, and I mean like we still got a long way to go, like, because we've got to get past all the legal shit first, right, before we even start talking about the practical stuff. But yeah, if all the developers are okay with it, then I'm fine with developers giving it a try. Because here's the thing: is that sure, there's going to be growing pains, right? But I mean, it is progress, and it's good progress. The end goal is something where everyone benefits, right? And I do believe that if we do keep trying, right? Because I mean, look at Helldivers. Sure, it was terrible not terrible. It was dysfunctional at launch, but given time, the developers smoothed it all out, and Helldivers is, it's completely smooth. Street Fighter 5. I mean, like, and then, okay, the other thing is that there have been games that have done it and done it well at launch. Shadowrun's online multiplayer, sure, it was only PC to consoles, but it was smooth. It had a smooth launch. Guilty Gear was PS3 to PS4. It had a smooth launch as well on consoles. On PC, it was a little shaky, but on consoles, it was fine, right? So like, the only way we can ever get this to work is if we keep trying, right? And there will be growing pains, and we'll have games like Street Fighter 5 that just make you want to punch a baby. But I feel like in the long run, it will be I feel like in the long run, everyone will win.
Yeah, I feel like it's also a good thing. It also kind of brings up the topic of exclusivity, in a sense, where if more games are going to be doing share play, and then everyone can play with everyone, then how will that affect exclusivity to a certain extent. Like, you know what I mean by that? Like, it's like if everyone's like, it's almost like it's a scenario where
No, I really don't.
you don't understand what I mean. Okay, I'm saying that it's
No.
like, okay, let's say, I'm saying from the perspective like this is share play, so Xbox One people can play with PS4 people, so it's like bringing people together to a certain extent. Like, it doesn't matter what console you have, you can still play the game. If more games are going to do this in the future, how is that going to affect exclusivity? Is people going to be like, oh, gaming exclusives are the worst, we should just have share play for everything? Or do you think that's going to like change things to a certain extent? That's what I mean by that.
Well, I mean, the thing is that at the end of the day, share play doesn't. I don't think they affect each other, because at the end of the day, Halo comes out on only the Xbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
So share play has no effect on crossplay has no effect on Halo, because Halo is never going to come out for a PlayStation 4.
No, I get that. I'm just saying that if share play becomes more popular and more games try and implement it, how will that affect the games that are usually exclusives? Like, will that make other companies not want to make their games exclusives and push towards share play?
I don't think so. I don't think it'll have any, because like I don't think it'll have any effect on that, because people don't make their games exclusive because there is no share play. You know, I don't think share play has any effect on people make their games exclusive because companies pay them to. So as long as companies keep paying them to make their games exclusive, or as long as they keep having those positive relationships with certain companies, they'll continue making exclusive. And then this isn't even to go into first-party studios. Like, it doesn't matter what happens. Microsoft is never going to let Bungie make a game for the PS4. Not Bungie, 343 Studios.
Yeah, because I was about to say, like, they technically just made a game for the PS4.
Yeah, you know, Sony's never going to let Naughty Dog make a game for the Xbox. So I mean, like, we're never going to see a Mario on the PS4. You know, so I don't think they're going to have any effect on each other.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair enough. I think it's going to be interesting though.
It is going to be.
It's going to be interesting because it's because I've never really the problem is that I personally have never really experienced share play to an extent. Like, I've only really seen share play like done badly, you know, and that's my issue, is that I've only really seen the negatives, so I haven't really seen the positives. I'm sure like the positives are coming, and then eventually we're gonna get a game that does it really, really well. And I'm sure we have seen good examples in the past. They're just kind of far and few in between.
Yeah, I mean, like, Guilty Gear is an example. Most of my friends play Guilty Gear on the PC, but I can still play with them, because even though I own it on the PS3. Like, crossplay, at the end of the day, as an idea, it's a very good idea, and it's only going to make... I mean, the only downside to it is going to be situations where someone owns multiple consoles. Like, for example, me and you, say I owned an Xbox One and a PS4, and Overwatch was coming out, and you were like, you're getting Overwatch on the PS4, then I'm like, okay, I'm getting on the PS4 as well, because I want to play with Tanner. Like, that's the only situation where it's going to have an effect, is that now I can just get it for whichever console I want, as opposed to whichever console I want to play with my friends with. And I don't even think that's a negative. I don't even think that's a negative in itself. Sure, it's a negative for Sony and Microsoft, because then they don't get those word of mouth purchases as much anymore, but that's like so insignificant in comparison to all the positives that it'll bring. So I think it's just good for gaming in general, and
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting for sure. I don't know. It's just weird, because it's like, you know, you're saying you did the Guilty Gear thing. I haven't even had that experience yet. I have yet to have a game that has share play, and I play with someone who's not in the same system. So maybe one day I'll get to experience that from. Yeah, who knows. But I think with that, we're going to have to wrap things up. Oh, once again, great question, Jay Streets. Keep them up. Yeah. So we're going to have to wrap things up. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you leave a comment in the comment section, we'll make sure to answer it in the next podcast. And as always, this was your host, William Liberty, and...
Who was Muhammad Yusuf.
See you guys next